Greetings! Today I'm going to talk about the Model S Tesla. Not that I own one, or have even driven one for that matter. I felt tempted to go for one of the test drives, but I thought, you know what, I wouldn't do that because it'd be a bit like torture. Not because the car is unpleasant, it's not, because I've watched loads of YouTube videos. It's just that to be able to drive something like that and know that you can never afford to buy it would be the biggest mind screw over you could possibly imagine. And in time, I'm sure as they become more popular, as people see the economic sense of owning one, then they will reduce in price. But for the time being, I'm going to say that I'll never own one because of the cost. And that's the reality of life living in the UK, because we just don't get paid that much. Even though I'm in a very good job and I do earn a decent enough salary, but with all the bills that is ladled on us for daily living, you just can't do it. But the point I want to make is that my current car is a very elderly now Jaguar S-Type, which I bought for my job back in 2010 at a reasonable price. And I bought it because it was basically a motorway cruiser. It could cope with the miles I was expecting it to do. And we're talking about 50,000 a year. And for the last 2 years, that car has been heavily hammered working for the home group. Now, unfortunately, when I worked for the home group, I was an agency worker. So I wasn't protected by all the usual policies. So when my car was vandalised on company property, I wasn't protected by the company insurance scheme because I was an agency worker. And yet they wanted me to work my fingers to the bone until they bled, based on the fact that, well, we're giving you 45p a mile. And, you know, that's okay if I was doing average mileage, but I was doing above average mileage. But the knock-on effect is that while you earn the money, which is nice, don't get me wrong, that was nice, the other side of that coin is that when mechanical things happen to the car, it costs a lot of money. And in the 2 years that I was working for the home group and they were expecting me to do all this mileage, and I'm talking about going from as far as fields as High Wycombe right down to Margate in Kent, and that was done every week, covering 10 houses. So I would say in a month doing about 1,500 miles or so, and visiting each one of those houses, if not once, twice a week. So that takes it out of not only the car, but took it out of me as well. But that's aside, that's history now. The point I'm making is that in those 2 years, I spent the best part of maybe 10 grand, minus the vandalism repairs, because even if I had a Tesla, the external vandalism that happened would have still have happened, I'm sure. But what I'm talking about is the mechanical side. Now, I had 2 injector pipes snap on my Jag, and that cost the best part of £2,500 to get repaired. I had a brake servo unit go. It's a little bit, about 30p's worth, little plastic thing, and that failed, and that cost £1,900 to replace that, as well as the brake servo unit, because all the oil flooded back. And so that comes to the pertinent question in my mind. If I had had a Tesla, if I was one of those fortunate people to have the money to buy a Tesla, that would not have happened to me, financially speaking. Because with electric cars, other than the DC generator and the charger units and the road wheels, there's very few moving parts. There's no engine to seize up, there's no injector pipes to snap, there's no brake servo unit as such to blow, because, you know, when you're travelling along and you lift your foot off the the gas, not the accelerator pedal, automatically the car starts to slow down and it performs what's known as regenerative braking. But here's the rub, you see, it doesn't actually use the brake pads. So you're saving money on brake pads. The only time you need to touch the foot brake with a Tesla is when you want to physically stop the car dead, or if you're coming up to traffic lights or whatever, and as the car slows and slows and slows, you just hold it on the foot brake. So in terms of replacement parts, I hazard to guess how long a set of brake pads would last on a Tesla. I think that the most frequently replaced parts would be the tyres, ordinary wear and tear, because of the fact that the Teslas come in a four-wheel version drive as well as rear wheel, as my car is rear wheel drive. Now, in my daily job, working for the home group, as my job now, not that I'm doing as that much mileage anymore, I kind of see the benefit of driving up to supercharger, plugging in, getting charged up, and then getting on the laptop doing a bit of work or go for lunch or whatever. And that's why the Tesla's so good, because you can use all their superchargers, and they are coming more popular in England now. And certainly I had a look on the map the other day, the supercharger map, and where all my houses used to be when I worked for the home group, there's a supercharger nearby. In fact, even here where I live in Surrey, there's the Asda store that's got a supercharger right across in its big car park. So I could leave the car there overnight, charge it up, and I'm ready to go in the morning. Because I live in a flat and I haven't got a garage, so you know it makes sense to use the local charging facilities. And if I was lucky enough to have a Tesla, that's exactly what I would do, because you know I have work to do while it's charging, whereas you know, currently in my current car, if anything goes wrong with it, I'm pretty much screwed, really. And I can't really see what could go wrong with the Tesla. I know people say that the battery packs fail and this, that and the other, but the customer service is so excellent with Tesla. Having watched loads of videos on YouTube, someone will come out to you with a flatbed, pick the car up, take it away, bring you a loaner vehicle at no cost to you. Whereas when that used to happen to mine, it would break down. I would have to arrange to have it transported myself by AA. I'd then have to pay for a hire car if they didn't have a courtesy car. So it was all money, money, money. And you know, even if I was a very wealthy individual, I'd still like, because of the way I've been brought up, I would still like to save a penny or two, because that's part of who I am. And so having access to a Tesla would make financial sense to me. And you know, before people start saying, oh well, you know, they're so expensive it's not worth having, well, if you consider that a brand new Jag at today's prices, or an Audi, or BMW or Lexus or any of the premium brands would cost roughly around the same price as a you know, the entry level Tesla. What pushes the prices up on the Teslas is where you add the options, in the same way as it would push the price up on a conventional car. But you know, I am quite attracted to the idea of not having to pay road tax, not having to pay servicing costs, not having to worry about, you know, is the oil low, has the diesel been contaminated, which sometimes does happen in our country, being taxed through the nose for having the car that I've got. Because of course, you see, at the time when I bought it, I was told by the chief executive, oh yes, you know, the company will be going for years. And so in my mind, I was still, as of this day, going to be working for Creating Futures Limited. Well, that turned out to be a bloody lie. and you know, I'm counting the cost of that lie every day. So I quite like the philosophy of Tesla, and particularly the CEO, Mr. Musk, who has given his patents to the Tesla design, all the technology behind it, out to the world free of charge. And why has he done this? He's done this because he wants to see a world where we're not relying on fossil fuels, draining our planet of resources. Now, I know that will have a knock-on effect for the big oil companies and car manufacturers and all the rest of it, but it still makes sense to me. Why would you want to be in something, a moving vehicle that could blow up if something went wrong with it? And you know, all you've got to do is go on YouTube and watch car crash videos and see that cars blowing up in grand fashion, even with all the modern safety protection systems. And you just wouldn't get that with a Tesla. And because there's no petrol or diesel or hydrogen or anything like that in there, it's just a battery pack. A battery pack that, as it gets depleted and worn out and changed, you can replace at half the price as you would an engine. Because it takes 3 minutes to change a battery pack on a Tesla. And they're bringing in this thing now that at service centres and at some supercharged places, that instead of, if you're pressed for time, instead of waiting for your car to charge up for 30 minutes, you can drive over this like ramp thing, and a automated machine will replace your battery pack for you in 3.5 minutes. Don't think I'd do that myself, because, you know, I kind of have a theory that every time you unloosen a bolt and tighten it again, the housing might get, you know, a bit worn. So I quite like the notion of, you know, charging up. And the thing is that you need a break from driving every once in a while. So 30-minute break to get 80% charge is ideal. Go for lunch, go to the loo, do what you need to do a little bit of work on the laptop if necessary. So for me, a Tesla would be such an ideal car. It's just that I haven't got the money to buy one at the moment, and probably never will. So, but for those of you that have, think about getting one, because, you know, even if you have the money to pay for all the repairs, think of it this way: why should someone else profit from your hard work? You know, you've worked long and hard to make that money, so why should you pay rip-off fees at like £70–80 an hour for some mechanic to say, oh, you need this, you need that, you need the other, when you can, you know, sit in your nice new Tesla or second-hand Tesla and think, bye-bye service charges. And it just makes sense on so many different levels. Now, eventually, of course, I'm sure the government will cotton on to the fact that electric car drivers are on a really good deal at the moment, and so we should really nail them like they did in the early days of the diesel, when they told us, oh, move to diesel cars, it's such a economical fuel, better for the environment, and then the diesel prices through the tax just shot up. Admittedly, they're a bit low now because of the cost of crude oil, etc. But that won't stay low for long before they start creeping up again, I'm sure. So there you go. That's my view on the Tesla vehicle and how it's going to change the world, and it has changed the world. And if you don't believe me, because you know, as I say, I don't own one, go watch some YouTube videos about Tesla vehicles, and I think you'll be really surprised. And if you got the money, go for a test drive, because the acceleration is just out of this world. All right, folks, take care and enjoy your Tesla if you buy one. Bye-bye now.